You just learn things.
You just learn things.
You just learn. Hello! Welcome back to A Story Worth Telling, and in particular, Pride Month!
Woo!
Where we're celebrating all the great things about being LGBTQ.
For example,
I'm gay.
and that's enough.
I'm fabulous.
Always enough. This month we're exploring the full realms of what our
beautiful community
has to
is.
offer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All the angles. All the angles.
Yes, I've been on Grindr and seen many angles. Hey, look, Grindr is always brooming in Pride Month.
I mean, it is a cultural staple, I would say. So, you can't get away from it even if you tried. Just like chlamydia. Anyway, today we're doing something a little bit different. We're watching a kind of mini...
It's like a little mini
docu-
history of important milestones in LGBTQ history.
Which is like the perfect time to be doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And hosted and narrated by yours truly,
The
Billy
one and only.
Porter. Because I think in one of the other videos we recently did, I was like, it's never too late to learn more stuff. You can always learn more things. And I always find it interesting because if I'm like, didn't even know there was a thing.
Education.
Yeah.
And such as.
Our education, or like such as.
It is important. And Pride Month is the perfect time to get clued up on everything to do with the history of our community and how we got here.
In
So there
fact,
you
we
go.
shall adapt We Do Gay Shit to We Teach Gay Shit.
We learn gay shit.
Oh yeah, we learn gay shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
We absorb gay shit.
Okay, that's a bit dirty. Anyway, do check out all of our socials. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, and we have a Discord community.
Go and check it out. It's all free.
Yeah.
So just see if you like it. There you go. How about that?
Oh, that's a pro, actually.
Well, certainly not a con.
You're familiar with Stonewall, of course. But what about the activist movements throughout history that haven't received as much attention?
And if at this point you're going, what's Stonewall?
You need to stop the video
Go read a book.
and go crack a book!
then come back.
A brief history of overlooked queer
love this
political
already.
actions, narrated by Billy Porter, illustrated by Amit Greenberg. 1920s, the Society for Human Rights. When U.S. Army soldier Henry Gerber was stationed in Germany from 1920 to 1923, he saw the rise of homophile organizations.
Homophile.
Ooh.
Gerber founded the Society for Human Rights, the first gay rights organization in America.
In 1920s.
First gay rights newsletter called Freedom and Friendship. Shortly after the newsletter was disseminated, Gerber's home was raided by the police. He was arrested, his papers confiscated, he lost his job and life savings.
Wow.
Relocated to New York City and began writing activist works again, this time under the pen name Parasex. He continued his activism until his death in the 1970s.
Fucking hell.
Do you know what?
Good for you, mate.
Yeah, good for you. But also imagine how much, there's points in history where, things happen and then they get shut down. And then, there's a couple more people get braver and do it. And then eventually enough people...
You get momentum.
You get momentum. Imagine if you'd had the same momentum back then and how far queer rights could have come sooner and the evolution of that. It's amazing to see where, things kind of sprouted up at one point and society was just still too strong in its prejudices. Yeah, see, you just you just learn things, and then I think
You just learn things.
you just learn.
The Mattachine Society was formed in the early 1950s by Harry Hay. It started in California but quickly spread across the country, providing a space for gays and lesbians to gather and discuss their experiences.
Cute. It's like early Discord.
Oh yeah, early Discord.
The organization declared homosexuals were an oppressed minority, that developing a community was essential to overcoming oppression. However, in 1953, the group's radical ideas were traded for more accommodationist ones, which stated that homosexuals should adapt to, not combat, heterosexual lifestyles in order to obtain equality.
Ooh. See, that's interesting because the 50s as well, we know, to be a period in which, you know, kind of things doubled down almost in conservative values, and more sort of queer people were basically targeted, like especially from, you know, watching Fellow Travelers and learning about the McCarthy movism, like.
Well, they were branded as a common enemy.
Yeah, and so to kind of see that actually there was even people then kind of creating small societies and sectors where they were getting people to kind of discuss it. But then that whole, like, you know, it became something that queer people should adapt. Like, that's sad. To see a movement go, actually, guys, we've just got to...
Well, I think it's kind of like baby steps to a certain degree.
It's baby steps, but it's...
Yeah. But also...
I ain't adapting for no one. I'm being me.
Like, let's not forget that end of the Second World War, you know, particularly in Europe at that time, that there were a lot of homosexuals who were, you know, imprisoned and killed during the war. So already it was a kind of minority group with very few rights, very few protections. So even something is better than nothing.
The Daughters of Politis was formed in 1955 in San Francisco by Phyllis Lyon and Del Martin. It was named after poet Pierre Louis's The Songs of Bilitis, in which Bilitis was said to be a female lover of Greek poet Sappho.
Come through, lesbians!
Originally assembled as a meeting place for lesbians, the group also held public forums to teach people about homosexuality and provided support to partnered, single, and parenting lesbians.
Love.
Shut down in the early 1970s, but is known for its commitment to fostering understanding in and out of the lesbian community.
But see, that's important as well, because a lot of history that we see is gay male coded. And like, well, I say, that's not the right word, coded, almost gay male washed, if you like, in the sense that we remember things that are significant of, like, you know, gay men kind of making big steps and stuff, but you forget, like, the lesbian history, the trans history, and actually the steps that a lot of people of those particular communities made for us and kind of get pushed to the side. And it's like, I think it's more important to learn that kind of history than the history that you kind of already know about, you know, your own. Let's
go away from the mainstream things that we all kind of know to be true.
The riot at Gene Compton's cafeteria in San Francisco's Tenderloin neighborhood happened in August 1966. A policeman grabbed a drag queen in an attempt to arrest her, and she threw a cup of coffee in his face.
I would have done the same.
Almost immediately, with glass windows smashed by thrown sugar shakers, tables flipped, and cutlery thrown. Cops had been arresting drag queens, gay hustlers, and transgender women at the 24-hour eatery regularly. After the incident, the diner banned trans women, and the Tenderloin's largely queer community rebelled, picketing the establishment and breaking its new windows. The Compton's riots received no coverage at all, but today, is recognized for its importance as one of the first queer uprisings against police brutality.
Yes, there's precedent for the rise of Stonewall. It wasn't the first one. There was already movements and stirrings.
Yeah, there's tensions that build over history, and they gain traction and more and more and more. And I think it's lovely that we remember Stonewall for what it was, but it's kind of like, don't forget the fire that was being lit all that time ago.
The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence first emerged in 1979 when 4 gay men, bored with the sameness of San Francisco's Castro district, put on retired nuns' habit. Realizing their presence could bring joy and initiate social change, they draw attention to queer discrimination and religious hypocrisy, promote safe sex, and educate against the dangerous effects of drug use, all the while raising money for AIDS, LGBTQ+, and community-related causes. Chapters have since expanded across the globe.
I love that. And I love that they're, like, you know, playing a little bit with the religious element as well, to be kind of flipping on its head.
And also, it doesn't just end after kind of like, you know, that's in the 70s. And it's like, it's interesting to see how, like, people go, oh yeah, Stonewall's important, but then you've got fighting that goes beyond that. It's like, once gay liberation happened and that movement, actually, there's still so much progress to be made. It's like, okay, yes, we're being seen now, but we need to think about, you know, other things. And, you know, you see that Harvey Milk making progress in the 70s through like taking office basically and giving actually people who are now being seen a political voice. Like, huge
Street
waves
Transvestite
made.
Action Revolutionaries, or STAR, was organized by queer historical icons and self-described drag queens Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, and decided to organize homeless trans youth, drag queens, sex workers, immigrants, and low-income people in New York. They bought a building, fixed it up, provided shelter and clothes for people who came through. STAR grew from New York to Chicago, California, and even England, and lasted approximately 3 years. While the riots at Stonewall are, of course, important, their story starts decades before and continues today. Thanks to people like Henry Gerber, Phyllis Lyon, Sylvia Rivera, Larry Kramer, and countless others, queer activism still has a loud and forceful voice. We owe so much to their legacy. We continue to speak out in honor of the strides they made for us and the lives we hope to change in the future.
Slay.
Yes, honey. Absolutely. And also just something on that, like, if it wasn't for that history, then the things that we kind of appreciate nowadays may never have happened. Because like Stonewall housing, you know, which you ran for, which essentially is the thing that has taken care of homeless LGBTQ youth today, may not have existed if it hadn't been for things, I think, ignite progress to a point where like we wouldn't have what we have today if it wasn't for that. And that's beautiful, I think. Like, it's important to remember that, because nowadays we can have charities and things kind of like proudly stand, but they may not have ever got that momentum if it hadn't almost, you know, happened and failed a couple of times previously.
And I'm sure that there are examples of similar cases, similar kind of local initiatives by kind of regular people trying to support their own community all around the world, not just in the US, but in other countries as well.
That was very US focused, but I think it almost makes me think, yeah, let's now learn more about like where it happened in, you know, your own countries all over the world. Like,
but there'll also be countries, you know, as we know, who discriminate and criminalize homosexuals, or, you know, people in the across the spectrum of the community. And in those countries, I imagine there will be initiatives that are kind of on a similar scale and similar theme as to some of those there now. So,
and even in particular now, it's so important to remember that if there are those initiatives in those countries, how important it is to speak out from where our point of privilege is about, you know, pushing for the success of that and being able to kind of, you know, help influence LGBTQ rights changing in other countries. Like, I think that's another important bit about Pride Month, is that we kind of forget, like, we have this great bubble here in like the Western world of being like, yeah, and, you know, it's not even always great then because we still have problems, but it's like making sure that Pride Month is echoed around the world. You know, there could be countries right now that are kind of on the precipice of having their first equivalent to like the 1920 event that was happening, you know, and without the support of the rest of the world that's kind of a little bit further on the line, it won't take off, and you need to kind of remember that. And I think
Gotta keep pushing.
Yeah, I love that. I could have a daily lesson from Billy Porter, I think.
That would be quite good, actually.
I quite like sex ed.
From Billy Porter?
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like it would be...
Why has it got to be smutty?
Why
don't we learn about another historical event?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Great answer.
The invention of the dildo. Hey, somebody had to go!
Hey, maybe we could make that out of plastic. I hope you enjoyed learning a bit about the community. And,
yes. Know your herstory.
Know your herstory, indeed.
Because it's important.
Yeah. And stay tuned for more Pride-related content this month with A Story with Her. Cute. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, if you liked that video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and check out all of our other playlists and videos.
And if that wasn't enough and you want to get more involved, check out our website at aswtcommunity.com, where you can find our Patreon, blogs, Discord, merchandise, and much more.
Yes, now do gay shit!